Ladies and gentlemen, you know what the problem is with most folks. They sitting around in life like they on a soft couch, feet kicked up, remote in hand, waiting for blessings to come knocking on the front door like Amazon Prime delivery. Let me tell you something. Life don't deliver success to your doorstep. You gotta get up, lace up, and walk outside your comfort zone to even see what's waiting for you. Comfort feels good, but it don't grow you. You don't get stronger sitting on the couch. You don't get richer hanging in the same broke circle. And you don't get wiser staying in the same old routine. If you want different, you gotta do different. And that starts with stepping out of that safe little bubble you've been living in. Comfort is the enemy of growth because the moment you settle into comfort, you've already put a cap on what God can do in your life. God did not design you to sit still, to stay the same, or to shrink yourself down so you could fit into places that feel safe. He created you with a purpose, a destiny, and a vision that is far bigger than the chair you're sitting in right now. But here's the truth. If you don't move, you will never see it. Growth requires movement, and movement requires you to step out of what feels easy and into what feels uncomfortable. Comfort is like a trap that disguises itself as peace. It feels good, it feels warm, it feels secure. But deep down, you know you're not living at your full potential. You know you're not using your gift. You know you're not stretching into the vision that God placed in you. That is why comfort becomes the enemy. It keeps you locked away from the very thing you've been praying for. Every time you pray for something bigger, attempt, God will answer by pushing you into something uncomfortable. You ask him for increase and he gives you a challenge. You ask him for strength and he gives you a battle. You ask him for success and he gives you a test. And the reason is simple. You cannot grow while you are cozy. You cannot expand while you are relaxed. You cannot reach new levels while you are lounging in the old ones. Growth requires pressure. Just like a seed in the ground, it will never break open if the soil doesn't press down on it. That pressure is what activates what's inside. And the same goes for you. The gift God placed in you will never be activated in comfort. It will only come alive when the weight, the pressure, and the challenge force it out of you. Look at every person in the Bible who did something great. None of them did it sitting comfortably. Abraham was told to leave his homeland and go to a place he didn't know. Moses had to stand before Pharaoh, a man who could have killed him, and demand freedom for God's people. David stepped out to fight Goliath when every soldier was too comfortable hiding behind the lines. Even Jesus himself left the comfort of heaven to walk on this earth, to face rejection, pain, and ultimately the cross. Nothing about greatness is comfortable. Nothing about purpose is easy. If you are living too easy, you are probably living too small. See, the enemy loves when you're comfortable. Attempt, because as long as you're not moving, you're not growing. And as long as you're not growing, you're not threatening his plan. The devil doesn't have to fight somebody who is stuck on the couch of life. Attempt, he doesn't have to waste energy on someone who refuses to step out and take the risk of faith. But the moment you get uncomfortable, the moment you step out on that limb, the moment you dare to believe God for something bigger, that's when you become dangerous. That's when heaven starts moving on your behalf. That's when doors start opening. Opportunities start showing up and blessings start chasing you down. You can't pray for a harvest and then stay in the house. You gotta go out into the field, and the field ain't always nice. Sometimes it's muddy. Sometimes it's hot. Sometimes it feels lonely out there, but that's where the growth happens. That's where God stretches you, molds you, and shapes you into the person you need to be to handle the blessing you've been asking for. Because here's another truth. God won't give you what you can't handle. And right now, comfort is keeping you too weak to carry what he's got for you. He's waiting on you to move, to stretch, to grow strong enough to hold it. Think about it like this. A baby bird will never fly if it stays in the nest. The nest is warm. The nest is safe. The nest feels good. But if that bird never jumps, it will never know the sky belongs to it. Some of you are sitting in the nest of life, waiting for wings to grow, when in reality, the wings will only work when you jump. God already gave you what you need, but it's waiting on the leap. That leap feels scary. That leap feels uncertain. But that leap is the beginning of growth. Tempt. You don't need everything figured out before you jump. You don't need to have all the answers before you move. Faith is moving without the full picture, trusting that God's got the rest. Every level of growth in your life will demand a sacrifice of comfort. You want to lose weight. You've got to give up the comfort of eating whatever you want. You want to build wealth. You've got to give up the comfort of spending money recklessly. You want a strong relationship. You've got to give up the comfort of selfishness. Growth will always cost you comfort, but the reward will always be greater than what you gave up. And once you experience the reward of growth, you won't even miss the comfort you left behind. Comfort makes you stagnant, but growth makes you alive. And God did not breathe life into you just so you could exist. He breathed life into you so you could live. There's a difference between existing and living. Existing means you wake up, you do the same thing, you stay in the same routine. You never stretch beyond what you already know. Living means you wake up with expectation, you move in faith, you take risks, you chase purpose, you believe God for more than what you can see right now. That's what growth does. It takes you from existence to life. So if you're wondering why you feel stuck, tempt, why you feel restless, why you feel like there's more to your life, but you can't see it yet, it's probably because you've been sitting in comfort too long. That discomfort you feel in your spirit isn't a problem. It's a sign. It's God nudging you, telling you there's more. That uneasy feeling in your gut is not fear. It's your faith calling you higher. You will never discover what's inside of you until you let go of the safety net and step into the unknown. Your gift will never show up in a place where you feel safe. It shows up in the stretch because God designed your gift to come alive only when you step into places that require faith. Safety feels good to the flesh, but it kills the spirit because the spirit is made for expansion, for adventure, for reaching higher than your hands can touch. When you are safe, you are leaning on what you already know, on what you already can do, on what you already have figured out. But your gift is not in what you know. Your gift is in what you have yet to discover. And discovery never happens inside safety. It happens in the stretch, in the moments where your knees shake and your heart races and you're not sure if you can make it. That's when God's power meets you. And that's when your gift starts to flow. If you want proof, look at how God operates. He never called anyone in Scripture to stay where they were and do the same thing. Every calling began with a stretch. Abraham had to leave his country. Noah had to build an ark with no rain in sight. Peter had to step out of a boat in the middle of a storm. Paul had to preach in places that wanted him dead. None of these men discovered their gift in the comfort of what they knew. They only saw the fullness of what God put in them when they were stretched to the point they could not rely on themselves anymore. And that's the power of the stretch. It breaks your reliance on you and forces your reliance on Him. The gift inside you is spiritual, not natural. That means it can't be accessed through logic, talent, or comfort. It can only be activated when you're placed in a situation too big for you, too heavy for you, too complicated for you. Because then you've got no choice but to call on God. And when you call on Him, He releases the power of your gift. That's why the stretch is necessary. You keep asking God to reveal your gift, but you don't want to be stretched. And that's why you're stuck. Your prayer and your comfort are fighting each other. You want breakthrough, but you don't want discomfort. You want miracles, but you don't want mess. You want growth, but you don't want stretching. But stretching is the key, and until you embrace it, your gift will stay locked inside. Think about a bow and arrow. That arrow will never fly unless the bow is pulled back, unless it is stretched to the limit. The stretch looks like tension. It feels like resistance. Attempt, but is the very thing that launches the arrow forward. You are the arrow, and God is trying to stretch your life so He can launch you into destiny. The tension you feel is not punishment, it's preparation. The pull is not there to break you, it's there to release you. And when He lets go, you'll move further and faster than you ever thought possible. But the release can't happen without the stretch. When you feel uncomfortable, tempt, when life feels uncertain, when you don't have control, that's when you are in the perfect position for your gift to show up. Because when you are stretched, you are forced to dig deeper, to pray harder, to trust stronger. And that's when your gift begins to flow out of you. The stretch wakes up what comfort put to sleep. Comfort makes you lazy, but the stretch makes you alive. Comfort hides your potential, but the stretch reveals it. Comfort blinds you to what's possible, but the stretch shows you what God has been waiting to do through you all along. Even Jesus operated in the stretch. His gift to heal showed up in places of sickness. His gift to bring peace showed up in storms. His gift to redeem the world showed up on a cross, the greatest stretch of all. He stretched out his hands, endured the pain, and in that moment, the greatest gift humanity has ever known was released. If the Son of God had to stretch to reveal his gift, what makes you think you won't? That cross was not comfortable, but it was necessary. And your stretch may not be easy, but it is necessary for the gift in you to come forth. You've got to stop running from the stretch and start running toward it. Every time life presents you with an opportunity that scares you, that intimidates you, that looks too big for you, recognize that's your stretch. Don't retreat back into safety, lean into it. Because that stretch is God's way of saying, I'm ready to unlock more in you. That stretch is God's invitation to the next level. That stretch is proof that he sees something in you that you can't even see in yourself yet. The enemy wants you to believe the stretch is a sign of weakness. But in truth, it's the sign of strength being born. He whispers, you can't handle this. You're not ready. Attempt, you're going to fail. But the word of God says his strength is made perfect in your weakness. That means when you feel weak, you're actually in the exact place for his strength to take over. That's where your gift shows up. Not when you feel strong, not when you feel prepared, but when you feel stretched beyond what you can carry. That's when God proves that your gift was never yours alone. It was his deposit in you. Don't despise the seasons of stretching. They hurt, they confuse, they shake you, but they are sacred. Because in those seasons, God is shaping the vessel that will carry his gift. He's removing what's unnecessary, refining what's impure, strengthening what's weak. The stretch is the process of preparation. And the longer you resist it, the longer you delay the release of your gift. But the moment you surrender and let him stretch you, the moment you say yes to the risk, yes to the leap, yes to the calling, everything inside you will begin to rise to the surface. Your gift was never meant to stay hidden in a safe corner of life. It was created to shine in the wide, open spaces of faith. And you'll never see how powerful, how beautiful, how impactful that gift truly is until you let yourself be stretched beyond what you thought you could handle. Because in that stretch, you'll realize it was never about what you could handle. It was always about what God could do through you when you let him. Fear ain't a stop sign, tempt. It's a signal you're headed somewhere worth going, because if there wasn't something powerful on the other side of it, the enemy wouldn't even bother putting fear in your path. Fear only shows up when you are close to something that matters, something that can change your life, something that can shift your future. The problem is too many people treat fear like a wall, when in reality it's just a doorway. You see fear and you freeze. You pull back, you retreat into what feels safe, but that fear is really just an announcement from heaven that you are on the verge of growth, on the edge of breakthrough, on the doorstep of destiny. When you understand fear the right way, it stops controlling you. Fear is not there to paralyze you. It's there to point you. The presence of fear is evidence of potential. Nobody gets afraid of what doesn't matter. You don't get nervous about walking to your fridge, but you do get nervous about walking into a room where your future can change. You don't get scared about staying in the same place, but you do feel fear when you step into something new, something bigger than you. That's how you know it's worth pursuing. The enemy whispers fear because he knows faith is about to speak louder if you keep moving. Look at how fear operated in the word. When Joshua was about to lead the children of Israel into the promised land, God didn't say, don't worry, this will be easy. He said, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Why would he say that unless fear was present? Fear was proof Joshua was stepping into something bigger than him. David must have felt fear when he stood before Goliath, a giant trained for war. But that fear was confirmation he was standing in the right place. Esther must have felt fear when she went before the king uninvited, but that fear was the sign that God was about to use her to save a nation. Fear always shows up at the door of destiny, and if you walk through it, you'll see what God has prepared for you. Fear is tricky because it disguises itself as logic. It tells you, this isn't the right time, you're not qualified, you're not ready, you might fail. It makes sense in your mind, but it's a lie in your spirit. Because the truth is, if you wait until you feel no fear, you'll never move. Faith isn't about the absence of fear. Faith is about moving in spite of it. Faith says, I see the fear, but I trust God.